The Honest Garage Podcast, where real shop owners tell real shop stories.
Today on the Honest Garage Podcast, we're talking with two former dealer techs who decided they didn't just want to fix the next generation of cars. They wanted to build the shop they wish existed for them and their customers. Our guests today are Johnathan K. and Joshua Chris, co-owners of Serenity EV Repair in Surprise, Arizona, serving the greater Phoenix area. Serenity EV is an independent, factory-trained electrical vehicle repair shop that works on Tesla, Rivian, and other EVs, offering everything from diagnostics and suspension work to AC. Both of these guys are EV nerds in the best way. Johnathan's been in EVs since 2013 when he answered a Tesla tech job off of Craigslist. Josh spent 6 years at Mercedes-Benz, then went to Tesla, and later worked at Rivian before they teamed up together to launch Serenity. They chose the name Serenity and the Dove logo on purpose to signal calm, peace of mind, and a different kind of repair experience for owners of some of the most advanced cars on the road today. Serenity runs as a focused EV-only shop, 3 lifts, space for a few more cars on the ground, and hope. There's no steady diet of oil changes or dealer-style maintenance packages. The work is almost all failure-driven repairs, often on complex systems like suspension, air conditioning, and most importantly, high-voltage-related components. Like a lot of technicians turned owners, they spent the first stretch basically breaking even, reluctant to mark up parts, especially expensive OEM components. The turning point came after a few crucial conversations with other business owners and their accountant. They finally implemented proper parts margins, and in the last few months, the shop has actually become profitable without pushback from customers. It's been a crash course in shifting from a tech mindset of just charge what feels fair to an owner mindset where pricing, margins, and long-term stability actually matter. In this episode, we're going to dig into what it's like to start an EV-only shop as partners, how two very technical guys are learning to think like business owners, and what they're seeing on the front lines of Tesla and Rivian repair that most general shops never experience. Johnathan, Josh, welcome to the Honest Garage Podcast, guys. How are you today?
Good morning.
Morning, guys. Appreciate you taking the time to be on the show today.
Yeah.
So we want to get started like we do with most of the shop owners. We're going to give you a fun question. I think anybody who's ever been a technician or got into this industry got inspired because they love cars. What was that dream car, that fun car that got you guys interested in the industry at large?
The Jaguar XJ220, the supercar that was featured in a lot of his world, our age group, like hot cars, books, or magazines. I don't know, that one just really struck me. And then another classic favorite was the Shelby Cobra, but the AC, the 420 Shelby AC Cobra, that like classic body style, 2-door racing roadster car. Those two were the ones that really got me interested in cars in general.
That's great. And Josh, what about for you, sir?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I think my dream car was a red Ferrari Testarossa. I just thought it was like the coolest thing with the crazy looking, the side strakes on the sides of the doors and everything. And fun fact, Testarossa actually means redhead in Italian, so fit.
Yeah, we got our own little Ford versus Ferrari situation. It happened right there in the shop. Little Enzo versus Henry Ford action. That's great, guys. So I know we covered some of this in the intro, but I really want people to hear it right out of your guys' mouths and get your story. How did all of this come together? I know you both got deep experience at the OEM level. Johnathan in EVs going back to 2013, Josh from Mercedes, Tesla, Rivian. How did you guys first connect around the idea of an EV-only shop? And what made you say, all right, we're doing this, we're doing it together, let's go?
I'll share my perspective and then let Josh share his. I had got laid off at Rivian and got another job at a small EV conversion company in Arizona. Okay. And while there, I saw the writing on the wall after 3 or 4 startups that one wasn't going to go the distance either. It was more of a stopgap until I decided what I wanted to be when I grew up. Yeah, after all these years. And so there was a moment where Josh and I and another friend of ours actually, I'm going to call him out a little bit because he decided not to be a part of it. But there was a moment where we were all talking about what could we do. And then when our buddy decided, no, I'm going to go do this other thing, which is cool. We loved him to death. It was a fateful conversation in my kitchen at the house with Josh and I, where I was like, dry erase board, like the numbers. Oh, here's what it could be. And then for the first time in our friendship since meeting in 2013, somehow I convinced this guy who's uber conservative in everything he does to go out on this gnarly limb with nothing but risk, which is not his whole thing. Somehow I managed like my one big chance to convince him, like, we're going to do this crazy thing. And that's how, or where it started, was that conversation. I never forget it because I just remember when he was like, yeah, and like his eyes lit up, and I've never seen him react that way to any of my ideas ever since becoming friends in 2013. So it was just kind of like, I did it.
The last time he gave you an idea, you put him in the middle of this big slog to try to build a company from the ground up. So
yeah, he's probably just been recovering from that one choice since then. For the last 2 years, he's been doing this. But that's what it was, that conversation in the kitchen, and then a year later, 2 years later, now here we are.
what was it like from your perspective, Josh?
It was I think it was just good timing because there were people dropping like flies at Rivian. Okay, so backing up, we met at Tesla same day, 2013. We started at the same service center and became friends. Like, we were the new guys. It's like we didn't know anybody. And so we became friends. We got to go to Norway for Tesla, both of us together. And that was a ridiculous trip, but it was super fun. And then he ended up leaving Tesla before I did, but we stayed in contact. Nobody moved away or anything like that. But yeah, and we're just friends during that interim time of not working together. And then he got a job at Rivian. So we were in California. We're from California. He got a job at Rivian that was bringing him to Arizona. And things at Tesla were getting like on a downturn for me. It was super corporate, like just lots of managerial things that I didn't like, but I like playing it safe. So I wasn't looking to go anywhere. I was like, I made it through a couple layoffs at Tesla, and I was just like, I'll just hunker down and get through it. It was good pay. But it was something I wasn't really liking. I had transitioned at that time to the body shop. So we were doing pre-owned inspections and refurbishing and body shop stuff. And it was like empty promises. They're like, oh, you're going to learn all these cool new skills and blah, 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 blah. And it was definitely not that. We were dismantling crashed cars, waiting weeks and months to get them repaired. And then once the body shop techs fixed them, we just reassembled them. So I was learning some stuff, but it wasn't interesting. And then we had a safety meeting where this guy came in and told us about all the chemicals that we were breathing. And basically you should be wearing a respirator every day, all the time. And I was like, this is not good for me. Like, all this Bondo and paint in the air, like, what am I doing? And that was an eye opener. I just don't really feel like I want to be here anymore, but I also didn't know where to go. And then, so John had, since he's been looking for a new job, found Rivian, and he's like, dude, you should come over here. And I never thought in a million years I would ever move to Arizona. I've been out here a couple times. I hate heat. I hate the hot weather. And I was like, there's nothing out there. It's all desert. It's all flat. It's all just gross. But I took a chance with that, and I was like, because I had seen Rivians coming out on the LA Auto Show. I was like, oh, that's the stuff I like doing, like driving off road. I had a Tacoma at the time, and so I was like, that sounds more in line with what I like to do. And since I'm already in EVs, it shouldn't be that hard of a jump from Tesla to Rivian. So I did it. He got me on board. We were in test and development at a Toyota proving ground out here, which was probably the best job ever. Honestly, I think in my career, like, God has always blessed me to level up, because I started doing Mercedes was cool just because it was like a luxury brand and you get factory training and all that. But it was the politics and all that killed it for me too. And the lies that from UTI teachers that you'd be making 6 figures right out the gate. And it was a fight, man. Like, not having a steady paycheck with flat rate was a killer. And so that's why I jumped to Tesla. But yeah, so then another big jump, a move and a new job to Rivian was a pretty big leap of faith. But that was awesome, dude. I thank you for that job. We had crazy opportunities to travel. We did winter testing, we did hot weather testing, we did mileage accumulation stuff. And I was a technician. All the engineers needed support because they didn't touch wrenches, or they shouldn't. And so yeah, we're at a proving ground supporting all kinds of teams, dynamics, suspension stuff, HVAC stuff, autonomous ADAS stuff. Yeah. So that was pretty great until they started doing Tesla things like layoffs and bringing in people that they probably shouldn't, to be different and to be hip and relevant. And so not necessarily people that knew how to do the job, but they filled the role. And then there was other people leaving because they were getting tired of it. It was a good time when we had the conversation about the shop that I was like, yeah, it's not, because he had been gone a year.
About a year, yeah.
About a year.
Yep. You just figured the last time I took your advice, it got me out to Arizona doing something really cool. So maybe it's time to listen again.
Yeah. He basically built the team out there. So it was almost everybody was like handpicked, like somebody knew somebody and somebody vouched for somebody. So like the original group we got along pretty well. There was a couple bad apples that snuck in. But yeah, it was a pretty good group. And then once he left, there was some other people that got laid off as well. So it just felt like the core group wasn't there anymore. And
talk to me a little bit about the transition from being a tech at Rivian and everywhere else throughout your careers, and that transition to now like the owner mindset. What were some of the hardest things to change about your mindset during that time?
I'm still going. I'm still getting there. Because the tech part is easy. Like, you fix the car, like, that's what I've been doing for the last, whatever,
23 years.
20 years or something like that. Yeah.
For over a decade.
That's the easy part for the most part. Neither of us run a business before, taking money from people. Like, we didn't. It was a very steep learning curve how to get into it.
Yeah, I know that you guys mentioned on the prep call, like, you struggled with profitability because you were always trying to think about the customer and making sure you were doing the best thing you can for the customer. And it's a common trap for a lot of shop owners and a lot of business owners in general, because a lot of people go into business to help people. And talk to me about what it was like to have those conversations around like parts margins and pricing and charging fairly. And I think our listeners are going to get a really, really good information from you guys who've actually lived it, come out on the other side now.
That part was really hard because I guess between the two of us, I came a little closer to running a shop when I was coming up. Actually, another fun fact, the dealership he was at for Mercedes-Benz was the one that I started my automotive career at, actually, but we didn't cross paths there. But we both worked at the same dealer. So I was there at parts, and then I transitioned from parts into the trainee service tech side. So it's just odd that we've been connected for so many years, but didn't prior to actually meeting each other. Anyway, so when I left there, I held a couple of odd jobs. And then I finally decided in the year and a half that I had left that dealership that I needed to get back into automotive. Something was just like, just go do the thing that you know you're good at, search around. I found an independent Mercedes shop in Aliso Viejo, California. And this guy turned out to be my mentor. He was like a father figure in some ways, him and his wife, Angela, Renato and Angela. So Renato Ben serviced out of Aliso. That's where I walked in there one day, just cold. Back when that's what you did. You just walked in her place and filled out a paper application and said, I'd like to work here. And so that's what I did. He called me a week later, and I was there for about 7 years after that. Working with him, he would go on vacation back to, he was an Italian guy. They would go to, him and his wife go to Italy. So after 2 or 3 years that I was there, he allowed me to keep the shop open. So I ran the shop. I saw parts margins. I saw all these things. So like I had a small taste of it, but I was too young then to really grasp what he had built and what he had and what he wanted to pass on to me. I just wasn't ready for it. But I learned a lot, right? So I got to see behind the curtain of what it's like to sell a job, look up parts, see what I pay versus what the list price is, all these different things, and then work the labor rates and all that. So like I had this taste of it for nearly 7 years. And then after that, I had left and never really did that again. I went back to just the tech side of things. So that was just like in me, part of me from that time. So coming here, it was like, okay, so I know what this is supposed to be like because I had that experience. But how do I do it, right? And so it was really difficult to do that. And the main reason it was difficult is because Tesla doesn't offer wholesale parts pricing. I could call Mercedes-Benz right now and say, hey, I'd like this component for this car, and say, hey, I know I'm a first-time customer, but they have an intro. Most dealerships or parts have an intro margin that they give you. The more you buy, that margin gets better. So I can call, and we did, okay, here's a fun one. We did a 12-volt battery on a Porsche Taycan, the EV.
Okay.
That battery list is $1,600. It's a 12-volt battery, man. Anyway, I called them, and out of the gate, we were able to buy that battery for like just under $1,300. No previous history with them whatsoever, but that's how like the industry works. So it was challenging for me because when you call Tesla, the list price is the same for everybody. The only people or groups that get a margin are certified collision networks or centers. So if you go through the process of being one of their certified collision centers, they give you, I think it's 15% or 20% margin, which is something. It's not a lot, but it's something. But you also have to spend, I've looked into it, not that we do collision, but looked into what does it take? They want you to buy every single piece of tooling and equipment just to have it, even if you never use it or you have something comparable. They have their list. So you have to abide by their terms and conditions. And that can be upwards of like $750,000 in equipment before you can make 15% on a part. It's pretty gnarly. That's their challenge. But anyway, it was really hard to decide or make that decision. But it wasn't until those, as you mentioned in the intro, a few fateful conversations that we had where we just needed to make that jump of, look, if we're going to stand behind what we do and the quality and value that we offer and the parts that we're offering, we have to have some kind of margin. We're going to die otherwise. And we had some really strong, good conversations. It was tough. Josh had never seen behind that curtain. So it was a lot of me trying to do my best to explain it as well as like he understood it, but it's like he never lived it. So there is a difference there. So it was like, hey man, let me share my experience so that it makes more sense to you. Let's do research together. And then we ultimately decided, okay, this is what we have to do. And we started doing it, but it was not without a lot of tough time and struggle and conversation. Like not that we were in disagreement that we needed to do something. It was like, how do we do it?
It sounds like you guys came to the intentional decision that you got to keep the doors open if you want to continue serving the customer. And if serving the customer is the ultimate goal, you can't do that if you go out of business.
And it was a lot of leading on, we treat people like they're our friends or family. And if we're getting that good feedback, it was like, we have to trust that they want us to be around, and maybe they'll spend a little bit more on the part. They're going to save on average overall. We had someone help us do like a mental math of, even if they went to Tesla or anywhere else, and they spend a little bit more on parts with us, they're still saving on average like 40%.
Overall repair would get cheaper.
Right. Yeah. The overall repair is still less money, even though they're spending a little bit more on the part. So that was a really good exercise to go through as well.
And so, one of the things that I know a lot of our shop owners who listen to the show are going to be general automotive repair, all makes, all models. And that's the most common type of shop out there on the independent side. And that means that they get to do regular scheduled maintenance. They get to do some of this other stuff that's not really common for you guys. What are some of those other like fundamental differences between running regular independent repair shop or even like an import shop like you guys have experience with versus running EV only?
There's not a lot of aftermarket stuff.
That's
So
fair.
we're forced to buy Tesla manufactured parts for the more complicated things like the high voltage components. There's not an aftermarket battery that you can put in. There's not an aftermarket drive unit that you can put in or anything like that. So
Right.
we have to work within those confines of it's this much because you can only get it from Tesla.
Yeah.
It's
And
definitely a faith, like a trust in God thing, because I wouldn't tell anybody else to do what we're doing. Like, we're done. This is so hard. And that was one of the early conversations when I had with Josh, where I'm like, bro, if we did Mercedes, this would be way easier. We have margin on parts, regular maintenance. You said it in the intro really well too. Your words were awesome that about there's not the regular maintenance stuff. It's failure dependent. We don't see your car unless there's a failure. And then there's zero wholesale. So we had to create a margin. What he said, there's no aftermarket. We just now discovered that there's some aftermarket for your regular suspension components like control arms and cabin filters.
okay.
There's not a lot else out there. You need an onboard charger. You're buying a brand new one for $2,000 or $3,000 from Tesla.
Right.
Or there is a used market. So then we go to eBay, and so we've been able to do that. So our repair methods are very different from what any of these other guys are experiencing. And yeah,
Sounds there's a lot of need on your guys' side of the business for customer education and making them aware of the differences between, hey, you're driving an EV now and a Tesla or a Rivian or not. We can't go and grab those parts from your local Napa down the road or something like that. And talk to me about how you guys go about that education piece with the customer and what that experience has been like.
that's jumping in fast because that's a passion of mine. I really enjoy explaining things to people. It makes me feel good because I'm educating them with a heart that is rooted in like genuine and sincere care for like their understanding of what's going on. There's a lot of things I took from my mentor, from Renato, and how he operated. Sometimes you work at a place where like their culture, their methodology, their ideology, their heart just aligns with you. This guy was perfect. This guy just, everything that he was about. I've had customers watch me rip their cylinder head off their car. And like, he was open book, transparent. Hey, come here, let me show you. I want you to see. Let me explain it to you. Like, this guy went above and beyond. One of the things that I'd love to be able to do, but you really can't do on these cars because they don't have traditional light bulbs. But on the older cars that I was working on at Mercedes, I saw everything from like late 70s all the way to 2005. He would give away free light bulbs. People come in, Renato, my light bulb's out. Johnny, go replace the light bulb. And they wouldn't charge anybody. Like, just, it was just the level of customer service was just so incredible. And so for me, I really like the explain piece. That's my heart. Like, I love that. And I'll do live Facebook lives and go into an explanation and show a torn apart HP system and, hey, here's this, here's that, and like point and explain. And when I have customers in here, Josh does it too, don't get me wrong. Like, we both bring people back there, but that's like my thing. So we'll bring people back into the shop and look, you may not understand what you're looking at, but you could tell something's broken, right? These two things should be together and they're now apart.
Yeah.
I love that.
You guys have talked a lot about each other's strengths and what you like to do. I know we have some other partners who are probably listening to the show going into business on that side. Talk to me about the partnership and how you guys navigate that partnership side of running the business. I think that'll be really interesting for some of our listeners to, how do you have two bosses? How do you have two people at the top and how do you guys manage that?
I think the root for us that's really strong is no matter what squabble we get into, we know that we're both heading in the same direction. Like we think very differently. We're different people for sure. We know that. But there's always a point of the conversation where we just look at each other and we're like, hey man, like I get where you're coming from, or I know where we want to get to. So let's like work through whatever the emotion is, or the facts, or the objectivity of whatever that topic is. Like we know what the end goal is, and that we're both looking in the same direction. And that's been really helpful.
Right.
Even in the moment of the disagreement, hey, I see it this way, or I'm looking at it from this angle, you're looking at it from that angle. We know what we're looking at. And it's okay, how do we now get there? Because so there's always that moment where we're not perfect. I don't think we've ever yelled at each other, but we get into little tips here and there. It's basically a marriage. Yeah. So that's it. It's just that remembering in that moment or moments that what the end goal is, or that we are focused on the same thing. We're not against each other. We may have different methods of getting the answer. And that's what we need, that we realize in those moments, because you have an emotion, or you got to get it out. I don't think that's the right way. You said that. Okay. Once we get that initial part out, we take a breath, and we always come to that. Okay, man, we're in the same. How do we figure this out? How do we get to where we want to be?
And Josh, from your perspective, I know Jonathan's kind of the guy who presented the big idea of the business with you. How do you rein him in, and what's your role, and what advice would you have to other people who are looking to kind of rein in a visionary? Because that tends to be a challenge for a lot of people in a partnership.
Yeah, somebody's got to think logically and practically. Yeah, I like structure. I don't want to say I like numbers, but I like stuff that makes sense. I try to have a decent budget, try to know where our money's going and how best to spend it. And I'm not great at big ideas, so that's why he's here. But yeah, like how to work those together, how to make those big ideas and the reality kind of work together. Like, because if he had his way, like we'd have people coming in through the door unexpected all the time, and I'd be pulling my hair out. So scheduling is very important to me, because you only have so many hours in a day. You only have so many days in the week. And we both have families and that other stuff that demands our time and attention. So trying to keep those things, like stay busy, but not
pure chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be clear, I don't like pure chaos. I like controlled chaos.
And that's where Josh comes in. He helps to bring the control.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that.
Because I'll run around and work on 5 different things, and he's not wrong. So there's no disagreement there at all. To me, in my brain, somehow chaos means some level of productivity or success. And so for him, organizing that is success and productivity. And so like meeting in the middle and understanding those differences and like leaning on each other's strengths, is important.
Yeah. I think you guys touched on something important there for our listeners. Of you can't effectively communicate or have an effective partnership if you don't take the time to get to understand each other's strengths and weaknesses and have real conversations about those, and use common terminology between the two of you, whether that's through strength finders or a Myers-Briggs or a DISC assessment, or there are a lot of tools out there. I just want to throw that out there for anybody listening. If you're in a partnership, or even an owner and a service writer, or somebody who's going to take over, get to know who you're working with. It's going to really make the communication a lot easier. And work towards a common goal. Be clear with what you guys are working towards, which I think you guys have done an awesome job of. Yeah. I know that there's a lot of techs out there who are wired like you guys. They're hands-on, they're nerdy about cars, like they're enthusiasts. And that's why they're in the industry. What final thoughts or words would each of you share, like for encouragement for anybody looking to start a specific shop or a specialty shop? What would you tell them?
Do your research.
Dig into that a little bit, Josh. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I need to know.
Know your product, know your customers, know their needs. Location is very important. We have come to find out. We picked a location because it existed and it was a great size and it was in our heads affordable, even though we didn't have any money. And it's close-ish. It's 3 minutes down the road from him. It's 20 minutes from me, but it's close-ish. We're not driving into Phoenix. And you see Teslas all the time around here. So we're like, they're out here. But we have multiple phone calls. They're like, oh, I wish you were closer to my house or whatever. So there's always going to be that. But yeah, I think maybe if we had to start over, we would probably pick a more central location. But people are coming. We get people from Flagstaff, which is 2 hours north. We get people from Tucson, which is hours east of us. Yeah, so they come. It's just some people are harder to convince than others that like, oh, it's worth the drive. But so that's something we've learned. Eventually, it would be awesome if we could duplicate ourselves and put another shop in the East Valley. And we're trying to figure out how to do that.
Sure.
And for now, I think it's been awesome. We just need to get the word out more.
Yeah.
And people need to stop being afraid of driving. Because we come from California, like an hour was like 15 miles away. There was traffic. So we're used to sitting in our cars, and people out here, I guess, aren't. Where it's like 50 minutes to go 50 miles. We're like, yeah. That's pretty good.
Having spent some time in Arizona myself, I think a lot of Arizonians, however you would say that, I think a lot of those people are not wanting to become California. So I don't think they're looking to spend an hour in their car to go 15 miles.
Yeah.
But it is an important conversation point to say, look, this is a really special skill set, and very few of us exist on the independent EV side out there. And it's worth the drive, like you said. Johnathan, what advice do you have for people who might be looking to start their shop or do something similar to what you guys have done?
Don't do it.
What if they're outside of your Phoenix metro area and they are not direct competitors?
Still don't do it.
Right.
The challenge is, I feel really good that we've overcome them. We're still overcoming them. I by no means think that we are out of the woods. We're doing much better than we could have ever imagined. Josh and I will have good conversations where he tries to reground me, where he's like, dude, we're doing pretty good. And then when I take a breath and I'm like, yeah, you're right. We are doing pretty good, because we're not continuing to skyrocket to the moon. Sometimes I'm like, man, like we could be doing more, and you can always be doing more.
But it's important to look back and see how far you've come.
More isn't calculated and with a little bit of research. So if you wanted to do this specifically, I don't know, call us. We'll give you the answers. That was the one challenging thing when you start a business that I found, which I found really frustrating and annoying, frankly, is anytime you talk to an entrepreneur or a business owner, I wanted practical steps. So as much as he may be like the practical guy, I also tell me the step. What do I need to do?
Right.
What's the recipe? That's what I was asking. And you get the pull yourself up by your boot. You just got to do it, bro. So aggravating. Pray about it. Yeah, I am praying about it. That's why I'm talking to you, because maybe God put you here for me to ask you the question, guy. Go to LegalZoom, get your LLC, get an EIN. I literally didn't know any of that. And I just did it. And that was the really aggravating part. So if you have questions, dude, I will tell you exactly. Do this, and then just be passionate about it. Want to do it. If you don't want to do it and you think this is a big money maker, it's not. You're not going to retire off this in 2 years. It's not going to happen. You have to want to do this. And if you do, I'll tell you exactly what I did to get started. But otherwise,
that's great. And one of the things we like to do here is give people an opportunity, if they want to dig deeper, as we're getting closer to the end of this episode of the show. What's a good way for them to contact you or get a hold of you guys? What's the best way for them to stay in touch?
We have all the typical stuff. We have Facebook. Like I said, I do a lot of lives. I like to share stuff. Instagram, our website, we have our phone number and our email. Email us. I do my best to reply to people as much as possible. And hey, this or that. Josh jumps in and gives quotes as well. Whenever anyone talks to us, we have a chat thing, like all the typical stuff. Social media and email, and our website used to have a chat function. We don't know anymore. It may return if it does. Thanks, guys.
That too.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
that's great. So for our listeners out there, that's serenityevrepair.com, correct?
SerenityEVRepair.com. Yes.
Perfect. Cool. And real quickly here, one of the things we ask everybody on the show, we're fond of the word honest here at the Honest Garage podcast, and obviously with Honest Mechanic Marketing. Tell me what it means to each of you guys, that term honest garage or honest shop. What does that mean for you guys, and how do you apply it?
I think it's, for me, I see it as, I know it's my nature, and knowing him for as long as I have, I know it's his nature. So it's just part of who we are to be that way. There's our faith in Christ is also part of that. So there's a piece of it. It's also really means to me, it's just transparency. I don't hide anything. If I've made a mistake, I let the customer know and I eat it. If we've had a situation where our initial diagnosis was wrong, then I do the other thing.
Yeah.
One that comes to mind, for example, just a short story. A customer came in, had an issue with their Model 3 headlamp. The most common failure is the headlamps fail. They just fail. That's what they do. So I purchased one, a used one, because a new one's like $2,000. So I purchased a used one for them. They came in, and I always do checks. I said, look, I'll have it here. Most likely it's that, but I'm going to check all wiring, and I just want to be sure before we put it in. Lo and behold, the repair had been previously done for body work or wiring or something, and the power wire was cut on the actual connector. It was 3 wires. I did the wiring repair and charged just for that. And I said, I'm keeping the light. And so we still have that lamp actually today. So that's one of those things that, like,
So if anybody needs one, you're gonna
yeah,
you'd really
we can't
appreciate
install
it.
that one. Josh actually found it had a broken little stud on it. So we're like, just a test lamp now. So anyway, that's one of those things. I always check. I will never just, and that's what I say when I talk to people on the phone is, it's likely this, but we will always confirm, and whatever it is, we will do that. And that's what it was. And she was pleasantly surprised, but that was the truth. That's honest. That's transparent. And I showed her, I go, come here and look, I'm going to fix it. It's now just an hour of time rather than a couple hours plus the headlamp and all this stuff. So she ultimately saved several $100s.
That's great. Josh, anything to add on your end?
Yeah, I think honest mechanic are things that people don't put together, because when you think of mechanics, you think of dishonesty. At least like when I was growing up or whatever, like that was always like, oh, they're just trying to rip me off or whatever. They're so expensive. So I think that's an important thing to put out there, to be like, hey, people can be honest. And when they, at any job, obviously, but not all mechanics are crooks. Not all mechanics are out to get you to replace things you don't need. So I think that's something we have to live by example, is show people, hey, there are good people out there that want to do the right thing. They want to save you money, but keep your car safe, keep you safe. So yeah, it's just a countercultural thing to be the honest.
We're gonna change that.
Yeah, I like it.
That's the goal of the show, is to help the industry and help communities at large see that this industry is committed to honesty, transparency, and being pillars in our community. And I think you guys are a great example of that in the Phoenix metro area, especially with what you guys are doing with EVs. And as we wrap up today's episode, I just want to say thank you to both of you again for taking the time to be on the show and for taking the time to try to help us with changing that perception of this industry for the community at large. So again, for those listening, Johnathan K., Joshua Chris, owners of Serenity EV Repair, get in contact with them if you got value from today's conversation from them and you want to continue and dive deeper. You got value from the conversation and you want to hear more shows like this, or continue to hear this specific show, give this show a follow. Review us on all the major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We'd love to get some feedback on the show. For more resources and real world marketing help, you can always reach out to us at honestmechanicmarketing.com. And thank you very much for listening. And as always, keep it honest in the garage.
We're not worried about selling in our shop. We're more worried about taking care of the customer's concerns, the customer's needs. And I feel like at a dealership level, It was more worried about what can we sell as opposed to how can we take care of this customer. We just have to make sure they're advised to the best of our abilities, right? So they understand in totality. So we try to provide a dealer level experience with that side of it, quality repairs, great customer service without the fear mongering, so to speak.